Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic, late for a meeting, your phone's buzzing with notifications, and your mind's racing with worry. Sound familiar? Life throws curveballs at us every day, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or even lost. But what if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius cracked the code to staying calm, resilient, and unshakable, no matter what life throws your way? And what if those timeless principles, paired with the profound wisdom of Jesus' teachings, could transform the way you face challenges today? Welcome to ZENLIGHT, where we dive deep into Stoicism and self-improvement to help you unlock the strongest, most peaceful version of yourself. In this episode, we're exploring 10 life-changing Stoic principles that will teach you how to turn obstacles into opportunities, let go of imaginary fears, and live with unshakable inner strength. Stick with us until the end, because I'm sharing practical tools you can apply right now to navigate the chaos of modern life with clarity and purpose. Let's embark on this journey together. Hit that subscribe button, grab a notebook, and let's get started on building a life where nothing can trouble you anymore. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a dense forest, the path ahead blocked by towering trees and tangled vines. Your first instinct might be to turn back, to curse the obstacle, or to feel defeated. But what if that forest wasn't your enemy? What if it was your teacher, guiding you to carve a new path, to grow stronger, and to discover a resilience you never knew you had? This is the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it's the first principle we're diving into today. View obstacles as opportunities. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced wars, betrayals, and a plague-ravaged empire, wrote in his Meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that for a moment. The very thing that's blocking your path, whether it's a job loss, a broken relationship, or a personal failure, holds the key to your growth. It's not about avoiding the obstacle. It's about embracing it, learning from it, and using it to forge a stronger version of yourself. Let's look at a real-life example. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling, who faced rejection after rejection from publishers while struggling as a single mother. She could have seen those rejections as proof she wasn't good enough. Instead, she saw them as opportunities to refine her craft, to keep pushing, and to believe in her story. The result? Harry Potter, a global phenomenon that's touched millions of lives. Her obstacles didn't define her defeat. They shaped her success. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Think about a time you faced a challenge, maybe a project, at work that went south, a health setback, or a fight with someone you love. How did you react? Did you let frustration take over? Or did you pause and ask, what can I learn from this? Stoicism teaches us that obstacles aren't punishments, they're invitations to grow. Jesus' life offers a profound parallel. Here, betrayed by his closest friends, mocked and crucified, he faced unimaginable hardship. Yet, in his darkest moments, he turned suffering into a message of love, forgiveness, and hope. His pain became a symbol of salvation, showing us that even the greatest trials can lead to light. So, how do we apply this in our modern, fast-paced lives? Start small. The next time you're stuck in a traffic jam or get a harsh email from your boss, take a deep breath and ask yourself 3 questions. What can I control in this moment? How can this challenge make me stronger? What opportunity is hidden here? Maybe that traffic jam gives you 20 minutes to listen to a podcast that sparks a new idea. Maybe that critical email pushes you to improve a skill you've been neglecting. Over time, this mindset shift, from seeing obstacles as threats to seeing them as teachers, builds a resilience that nothing can shake. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I lost a job I loved due to company layoffs. At first I was angry, scared, and felt like a failure. But then I remembered Marcus Aurelius' words and started asking, what's the opportunity here? That layoff pushed me to start this YouTube channel, ZENLIGHT 8, to share Stoic wisdom with people like you. What felt like a dead end became the start of a new path, one I'm grateful for every day. Here's your challenge. Over the next week, pick one obstacle in your life, big or small, and write down 3 ways it could be an opportunity. Maybe a tough conversation with a coworker is a chance to practice patience. Maybe a financial setback is a nudge to rethink your budget and build better habits. Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're turning obstacles into opportunities. By embracing this Stoic principle, you're not just surviving life's challenges, you're thriving through them, growing stronger with every step, and that's just the beginning. Next, we'll explore how to stop suffering from the pains we create in our own minds, because so much of our stress comes not from reality, but from our imagination. Have you ever lain awake at night, your mind spinning with worst-case scenarios? Maybe you're replaying a conversation, worrying about what you should have said, or imagining a future where everything goes wrong, a missed deadline, a failed exam, or a relationship falling apart. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and yet nothing has actually happened. This is the trap of imaginary pains, and it's one of the sneakiest ways we sabotage our own peace. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful antidote. Stop suffering over things that exist only in your mind. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The truth is, most of our pain doesn't come from reality. It comes from the stories we tell ourselves. Let's paint a picture. Imagine a high school student named Sarah studying for her SATs. Every night she lies in bed, picturing herself bombing the test, not getting into college, and disappointing her parents. She's so consumed by these fears that she can't focus on studying, and her anxiety spirals. But when test day comes, she scores higher than she expected. All those sleepless nights, all that stress, was it worth it? The pain wasn't in the test, it was in her imagination. Jesus echoed this wisdom when he said, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." His words remind us to stay grounded in the present, to focus on what's real instead of borrowing pain from a future that hasn't arrived. Think about your own life. How often do you stress about things that haven't happened? Maybe you're worried about a presentation at work, imagining your boss tearing it apart. Or perhaps you're anxious about a family gathering, picturing awkward silences or arguments. Now ask yourself, how many of those fears actually came true? And even if they did, were they as bad as you imagined? Stoicism teaches us to separate fact from fiction. When you feel anxiety creeping in, pause and ask, is this happening right now, or am I just imagining it? Let's look at another example. During the Great Depression, millions of Americans faced real hardships, lost jobs, empty pantries, uncertain futures. But Franklin D. Roosevelt, in his 1933 inaugural address, famously said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." He wasn't dismissing their struggles. He was pointing out that fear, left unchecked, can paralyze us, making our burdens feel heavier than they are. By focusing on what they could control, finding work, supporting each other, rebuilding, they found the strength to move forward. In our modern world, imaginary pains are amplified by constant notifications, social media comparisons, and 24/7 news cycles. It's easy to fall into a cycle of worry about your career, your finances, or even what others think of you. But here's the Stoic secret. You can't control the future, but you can control your thoughts. Try this practice. The next time you're worried, grab a piece of paper and write down exactly what you're afraid of. Then next to each fear, write, is this real or is it in my head? If it's in your head, cross it out. If it's real, write one small action you can take today to address it. For example, if you're stressed about a big project, don't obsess over whether it'll fail. Just focus on outlining the first step. This simple exercise grounds you in reality and frees you from the weight of imaginary pain. Let me share a story from my own life. A couple of years ago, I was pitching a big idea to a potential investor for ZENLIGHT 8. The night before, I couldn't sleep, imagining every possible way it could go wrong. They'd hate it, they'd laugh, I'd freeze up. By morning, I was a wreck. But then I remembered Epictetus's words and asked myself, what's actually happening right now? The answer? Nothing. I hadn't even given the pitch yet. So I focused on what I could control, practicing my delivery, refining my slides. The pitch went better than I expected, and even if it hadn't, I realized the world wouldn't end. That moment taught me the power of letting go of imaginary fears. Here's your challenge. For the next 3 days, catch yourself when you start worrying about something that hasn't happened. Ask, is this real? And redirect your energy to the present. Maybe you're stressing about a tough conversation. Prepare for it instead of imagining the worst. Share your experience in the comments. I want to know how this practice changes your perspective. By mastering this Stoic principle, you're reclaiming your peace, one thought at a time. Up next, we'll dive into the art of embracing impermanence, because life is always changing, and learning to flow with it is the key to true freedom. Life is like a river, always flowing, always changing. One moment you're basking in the warmth of a perfect day, laughing with friends, celebrating a promotion, or holding a loved one close. The next, the current shifts, and you're faced with loss, uncertainty, or change. It's tempting to cling to the good moments, to fight against the tide, or to fear what's around the bend. But Stoic philosophy teaches us a profound truth. Embracing impermanence is the key to finding peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is like a river made up of the events which happen, and a violent stream. For as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away and another comes in its place." Everything in life, your job, your relationships, even your emotions, is temporary. And that's not something to fear, it's something to cherish. Let's think about a woman named Maria, a small business owner in Chicago. For years, her bakery was the heart of her community, filled with the smell of fresh bread and the laughter of loyal customers. But when a big chain opened nearby, her sales plummeted, and she had to close her doors. Maria was devastated. She'd poured her heart into that bakery, but instead of clinging to what was gone, she took a step back and asked, "What's next?" She started teaching baking classes online, sharing her recipes with a global audience. By embracing the impermanence of her business, she found a new purpose, one that reached even more people. Jesus' teachings align beautifully with this idea. He said, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." His words remind us that our strength doesn't come from material things, which fade, but from faith, wisdom, and the ability to adapt. Think about a moment in your life when everything changed. A move to a new city, the end of a relationship, or a sudden success. How did you handle it? Did you resist, wishing things could stay the same? Or did you lean into the change, trusting it could lead to something new? Stoicism invites us to see impermanence not as loss, but as renewal. It's why the changing seasons are so beautiful. Spring blooms, summer thrives, fall fades, and winter rests, only to start again. In our modern lives, impermanence is everywhere. Your phone, once cutting edge, is obsolete in 2 years. Your favorite coffee shop might close. Even your feelings, joy, anger, sadness, pass like clouds in the sky. The Stoics teach us to embrace this flow, to hold things lightly, and to find joy in the moment precisely because it won't last. Try this. Next time you're with someone you love, pause and really be there. Notice their smile, their voice, the warmth of the moment. Knowing it's temporary makes it more precious. Let me share a story. When I was 25, I moved across the country for a dream job, leaving my family and friends behind. At first I was homesick, clinging to the life I'd left. But then I read Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, who said, "Nothing is ours except time." I realized I couldn't hold on to the past, but I could make the most of the present. So I threw myself into my new city, exploring parks, meeting people, building a life. That move, painful as it was, shaped who I am today. Here's a practice to try. At the end of each day, write down one thing that changed, maybe a mood, a plan, or a circumstance. Next to it, write one way that change opened a door, even a small one. For example, if you missed a workout because of a busy day, maybe it gave you time to call a friend. This exercise trains you to see impermanence as a gift. And here's your challenge. Over the next week, notice when you're resisting change. Maybe it's a new work policy or a shift in a friendship. Instead of fighting it, ask, how can I flow with this? Share your story in the comments. I'm curious to hear how embracing impermanence changes your perspective. By letting go of the need to control life's flow, you're opening yourself to a deeper kind of peace. Next, we'll explore the art of detachment, because true freedom comes from letting go of what you can't control. What if the secret to true freedom isn't in holding on, but in letting go? Life is full of things we can't control. Other people's opinions, unexpected setbacks, or the twists and turns of fate. Yet, we often cling to these things, as if our happiness depends on them. Stoic philosophy teaches us the art of detachment, not indifference, but the wisdom to focus on what's within our power and release what isn't. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When we obsess over things we can't change, we create our own suffering. Detachment is about finding peace by letting go of that burden. Imagine a man named James, a software engineer in Silicon Valley. He poured his heart into a startup, working 80-hour weeks, dreaming of a big payoff. But when the company folded, he was crushed. His identity, his self-worth, was tied to that success. For months, he replayed what went wrong, blaming himself, unable to move on. Then he stumbled across Stoicism and began practicing detachment. He asked himself, what can I control now? Not the past, not the failure, but his next steps. He started freelancing, took up meditation, and rebuilt his life with a new sense of purpose. By letting go of what was gone, he found freedom to create something new. Jesus' teachings resonate here. He said, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you." This isn't about giving up. It's about trusting that you don't have to carry every weight alone. Detachment means recognizing your limits and focusing on what you can do. Your actions, your attitude, your choices. Think about something you're holding on to right now. Maybe it's a grudge against someone who hurt you, a regret about a missed opportunity, or a fear of what others think. Ask yourself, is this in my control? Does holding on make me happier? The answer is often no. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting uncontrollable things dictate your peace. In today's world, we're bombarded with pressures, social media likes, career ladders, the perfect lifestyle. It's easy to tie your worth to these external markers, but Stoicism reminds us that true happiness comes from within. Let's try a practice. Take a moment to identify one thing you're clinging to. Maybe it's a toxic relationship or a past mistake. Write it down, then ask, what would happen if I let this go? Visualize the weight lifting, the space it creates for new possibilities. For me, detachment was a game changer when I faced a falling out with a close friend. I spent months replaying our arguments, wishing I could change the past. But then I read Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. I realized I couldn't control my friend's choices, but I could control how I moved forward. I forgave, not for them, but for me. That act of letting go opened the door to new friendships and a lighter heart. Here's your challenge. Over the next week, practice detachment with one thing you can't control. If someone cuts you off in traffic, don't let it ruin your day. Let it go. If a coworker's criticism stings, focus on your work, not their words. Share in the comments how letting go feels. I'd love to hear your story. By mastering detachment, you're not just surviving life's ups and downs, you're thriving with a freedom that nothing can take away. Next, we'll talk about the power of daily reflection, because looking within is the key to growing stronger every day. What if you could end each day feeling a little wiser, a little stronger, and a little closer to the person you want to be? In our busy lives, we often rush from one task to the next, work, errands, social media, without pausing to look within. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens through intentional reflection. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire while facing constant crises, made time every night to journal his thoughts, examining his actions, his mistakes, and his progress. He wrote, "Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." Daily reflection is like cleaning a mirror. It helps you see yourself clearly, flaws and all, so you can grow. Imagine a young teacher named Emily, working in a tough school district in Atlanta. Her days were chaotic, disruptive students, endless paperwork, and pressure from administrators. By the end of each week, she felt drained and defeated. Then she started a simple habit. Every night, she spent 10 minutes writing down 3 things: what went well, what didn't, and what she could do better tomorrow. At first, it felt awkward, but over time, she noticed patterns. She saw how her impatience with a student sparked conflict, but also how her encouragement lifted another's confidence. By reflecting, she learned to adjust her approach, becoming a more effective teacher and a calmer person. Jesus' teachings also call us to look inward. He said, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." This isn't just about judging others. It's about examining ourselves with honesty and humility. Reflection helps us confront our shortcomings, not to feel shame, but to grow. Think about your own day. How often do you pause to ask, what did I do well? Where did I fall short? What can I learn? Without reflection, we're like drivers speeding through life without a map, repeating the same mistakes. In today's world, distractions make reflection harder. Your phone pings, Netflix beckons, and there's always another email. But carving out even 5 minutes to reflect can change everything. Try this. Tonight, grab a notebook and write down 3 questions. What's one thing I'm proud of today? What's one moment I wish I'd handled differently? What's one step I can take tomorrow to be better? For example, maybe you're proud of helping a coworker, but regret snapping at your partner. Tomorrow you might plan to take a deep breath before responding. This practice builds self-awareness, the foundation of growth. For me, reflection became a lifeline during a tough year when I was juggling ZENLIGHT 8 and personal challenges. I'd die, and each day feeling overwhelmed, like I was failing at everything. But when I started journaling, I saw that I was doing more than I gave myself credit for, and where I wasn't, I could improve. One night, I wrote about a heated argument with my brother. Reflecting, I realized my pride had fueled the fight. The next day, I apologized and we rebuilt our bond. That moment showed me the power of looking within. Here's your challenge. Commit to 5 minutes of reflection every night for a week. Write down your answers to those 3 questions and notice how it shifts your perspective. Share in the comments what you discover. I'm excited to hear how this practice impacts you. By making reflection a habit, you're not just living, you're growing day by day into the best version of yourself. Next, we'll explore the transformative power of gratitude, because focusing on what you have changes everything. In a world that's always pushing us to want more money, more success, more likes, it's easy to focus on what's missing. But what if the key to happiness isn't in getting more, but in appreciating what you already have? Stoic philosophy teaches us to cultivate gratitude, a practice that shifts our perspective from scarcity to abundance. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Gratitude doesn't just make us feel good, it rewires our brains to find joy in the present. Let's meet Lisa, a nurse in Seattle who worked grueling shifts during the pandemic. Her days were exhausting, and she often came home feeling empty. But one day, she started a small habit. Before bed, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. At first, it was hard. Her mind was stuck on the stress. But then she noticed small moments: a patient's thank you, a coworker's kindness, the warmth of her morning coffee. Over weeks, her outlook changed. She felt lighter, more connected, even on tough days. Science backs this up. Studies from Harvard show that gratitude boosts mental health, reduces stress, and even improves sleep. Jesus' teachings echo this wisdom. He said, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God." Gratitude isn't about ignoring pain. It's about finding light even in the dark. Think about your life. What's one thing you take for granted? Maybe it's your health, your family, or the roof over your head. Now, imagine losing it. That shift in perspective makes you cherish what's here. In our modern rush, gratitude gets buried under to-do lists and comparisons. Social media shows us everyone's highlight reels, making our lives feel small. But Stoicism reminds us that joy isn't in what others have, it's in what we notice. Try this. Every morning, name 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Maybe it's a sunny day, a good song, or a kind word. Say them out loud, feel them. For me, gratitude turned a rough patch around. When ZENLIGHT was struggling to grow, I felt like I was failing. But I started listing what I was thankful for. Supportive viewers like you, the chance to share ideas, my own growth. That shift made me see the channel not as a struggle, but as a gift. Here's your challenge. For 7 days, write down 3 things you're grateful for each night. Notice how it feels to focus on abundance. Share one of your gratitude moments in the comments. I'd love to celebrate with you. By cultivating gratitude, you're not just happier, you're building a life of deep fulfillment. Next, we'll dive into developing inner resilience, because life's storms are inevitable, but your strength can be unbreakable. Life is a marathon, not a sprint, and every runner faces hurdles, some small like a rainy day, and some massive like a personal loss or a career setback. What separates those who crumble from those who thrive is inner resilience, the ability to bend without breaking, to face adversity with courage, and to come back stronger. Stoic philosophy teaches us that resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about building the strength to carry it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Resilience is about choosing how you respond, even when life feels unfair. Let's look at the story of Michael, a firefighter in Los Angeles. During a wildfire, he lost his home, the very thing he'd spent years protecting for others. The devastation was overwhelming, but Michael leaned on a Stoic practice. Focus on what you can control. He couldn't undo the fire, but he could rebuild. He volunteered to help other survivors, found therapy to process his grief, and slowly built a new home, brick by brick. His resilience didn't erase the pain, but it gave him purpose. Jesus showed this strength too, facing betrayal and crucifixion with unwavering faith. He said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." His words remind us that resilience isn't about being fearless. It's about finding hope amid struggle. Think about a challenge you faced, maybe a health scare, a job loss, or a family crisis. How did you cope? Did you find a spark of strength within you, even when it felt impossible? Resilience is like a muscle. It grows stronger with practice. In our modern world, we're tested daily by deadlines, conflicts, or the pressure to keep up. Social media can make it seem like everyone else is thriving, but the truth is, everyone faces storms. Stoicism teaches us to build resilience by focusing on 3 things: acceptance, action, and optimism. Accept what you can't change, take small steps forward, and believe that you'll come out stronger. Try this. The next time you face a setback, write down 3 things: what's out of your control, 1 action you can take, and 1 reason to stay hopeful. For example, if you're stressed about a tight budget, accept that you can't control the economy. Commit to cutting 1 expense and remind yourself that you've overcome tough times before. For me, resilience was tested when ZENLIGHT 8 hit a rough patch. Negative comments and slow growth made me question myself. But I remembered Seneca's words, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." I focused on creating better content, ignored the noise, and kept going. Today, this community, you, proves it was worth it. Here's your challenge. Over the next week, face 1 difficulty with resilience. Write down your 3 things: acceptance, action, optimism, and share how it went in the comments. I'm rooting for you. By building resilience, you're not just surviving life's storms, you're becoming unbreakable. Next, we'll talk about avoiding self-created troubles, because sometimes the biggest obstacles are the ones we make ourselves. Have you ever turned a small annoyance into a full-blown crisis? Maybe a coworker's offhand comment sent you into a spiral of anger, or a delayed flight had you fuming for hours. These moments feel huge, but Stoic philosophy reminds us that often we're the ones making mountains out of molehills. Avoiding self-created troubles is about choosing peace over drama, focusing on what matters instead of inflating the small stuff. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." When we let minor irritations take over, we're stealing our own joy. Picture Sarah, a graphic designer in New York. One morning, her coffee order was wrong, her subway was late, and a client criticized her work. By noon, she was ready to quit. But then she remembered a Stoic exercise. Pause and ask, "Is this worth my peace?" She realized the coffee didn't ruin her day. Her reaction did. The subway? Out of her control. The client's feedback? A chance to improve. By letting go of these self-created troubles, she finished her day with focus and calm. Jesus' teachings align here. He said, "Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes?" His words urge us to rise above petty worries and trust in what's bigger. Think about a recent moment when you got upset over something small, a long line, a rude email, bad weather. Did your reaction make things better, or did it just drain you? In our fast-paced world, small troubles are amplified by constant demands, traffic, deadlines, notifications. But Stoicism teaches us to filter out the noise. Try this. Next time something annoys you, count to 10 and ask, "Will this matter in a week? Is it in my control?" If the answer's no, let it go. If it's yes, take one calm action. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, use the time to call a friend or listen to a podcast instead of honking in frustration. For me, this principle hit home during a stressful move. Everything went wrong. Lost boxes, delayed movers, a broken lamp. I was furious until I asked, "Is this worth my energy?" I let go of the lamp, focused on unpacking, and turned a bad day into a productive one. Here's your challenge. For 3 days, catch yourself when you're upset over something small. Use the count to 10 trick and share in the comments how it changed your day. By avoiding self-created troubles, you're reclaiming your peace and making room for what truly matters. Next, we'll explore focusing on the how, not the what. Because the path you take is more important than the destination. Have you ever set a big goal? Maybe a promotion, a fitness milestone, or a dream project only to feel lost when it didn't go as planned? We often fixate on the outcome, the what, but Stoic philosophy teaches us to shift our focus to the how, the actions, effort, and attitude we bring to the journey. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't go expecting Plato's Republic. Be satisfied with even the smallest progress." It's not about achieving perfection. It's about showing up with intention every day. Let's meet Alex, a writer in Austin chasing his dream of publishing a novel. For years, he obsessed over getting a book deal, measuring his worth by rejections. The pressure paralyzed him, and he stopped writing. Then he discovered Stoicism and decided to focus on the how, writing 500 words a day, studying craft, and sharing his work online. The rejections still came, but they didn't define him. His daily effort did. Eventually, a small publisher picked up his book, not because he forced the outcome, but because he mastered the process. Jesus' parable of the talents reflects this. The master didn't reward the servants for their results, but for their faithfulness in using what they were given. The lesson? Focus on what you do with your time, not what you get from it. Think about a goal you're chasing. Are you stressed about the result, or are you committed to the process? In our outcome-obsessed culture, we're taught to judge success by numbers, followers, dollars, titles. But Stoicism flips this. Success is in the effort, the discipline, the way you show up. Try this. Pick one goal and break it into daily actions. If you want to get fit, don't obsess over losing 20 pounds. Commit to 3 workouts a week. Track your effort, not the scale. Celebrate the days you show up. For me, this principle transformed ZENLIGHT 8. Early on, I was fixated on hitting 10,000 subscribers. When growth was slow, I felt like a failure. But I shifted to the how, making 1 video a week, engaging with comments, improving my storytelling. The numbers grew, but more importantly, I found joy in the work. Here's your challenge. For 1 week, focus on the how of one goal. Write down your daily actions and share in the comments what you notice. Does it feel different to prioritize effort over outcome? By focusing on the how, you're building a life of purpose, one step at a time. Next, we'll dive into prioritizing rationality over emotions, because clear thinking is the foundation of a peaceful life. Have you ever said something in the heat of anger that you later regretted? Or made a snap decision driven by fear only to wish you'd thought it through? Emotions are powerful, but they can cloud our judgment, leading to choices that hurt us and others. Stoic philosophy teaches us to prioritize rationality over emotions, not to suppress our feelings, but to guide them with clear thinking. Seneca wrote, "Reason shows us there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." When we let reason lead, we find calm and make decisions we can stand by. Let's meet Rachel, a manager in Denver. During a team meeting, a colleague criticized her project in front of everyone. Her first instinct was to snap back, defend herself, let anger take over. But she'd been reading Stoicism and paused. She took a deep breath and asked, "What's the rational response here?" Instead of lashing out, she thanked her colleague for the feedback and asked for specifics. Later, she used the critique to improve her work, earning her team's respect. Her rationality turned a conflict into a win. Jesus' teachings support this. He said, "The wise man builds his house on the rock, and it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock." Reason is that rock, a steady foundation for life's storms. Think about a time you let emotions drive you. Maybe you argued with a loved one or quit a project in frustration. What if you'd paused and thought it through? In our world, emotions are amplified. Outrage on social media, fear in headlines, pressure to react instantly. But Stoicism teaches us to slow down. Try this. Next time you're upset, use the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Then ask, what's the rational thing to do? For example, if you get a harsh email, don't fire back. Wait, reflect, and respond with clarity. For me, this saved a friendship. Last year, a close friend canceled plans last minute, and I was hurt, ready to confront them. But I breathed, thought, and realized they'd been stressed. Instead of accusing, I asked how they were. That rational choice deepened our bond. Here's your challenge. For 3 days, catch yourself when emotions surge. Breathe, think, act rationally. Share in the comments how it feels. I'm eager to hear. By prioritizing rationality, you're building a life of clarity and peace. We've journeyed through 10 Stoic principles, each a tool to build a life of peace, strength, and purpose. From turning obstacles into opportunities to prioritizing reason over emotion, these ideas, rooted in ancient wisdom and echoed in Jesus' teachings, aren't just philosophy. They're a blueprint for thriving in our chaotic world. Today, you're juggling work, relationships, and endless distractions. But Stoicism reminds us that true happiness lies within. You can't control the economy, other people's actions, or tomorrow's news, but you can control your thoughts, your actions, and how you show up each day. Start small. Pick one principle, like gratitude or reflection, and practice it for a week. Notice how it shifts your perspective. Maybe you're grateful for a coworker's help, or you reflect on a tough day and find a lesson. These small acts build a foundation for a life where nothing can trouble you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So, choose thoughts of resilience, gratitude, and reason. Jesus said, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you." Seek wisdom, and peace will follow. Here's my challenge. Commit to a 30-day Stoic journey. Each day, apply one principle. Write it down, live it, share it. Join our ZENLIGHT 8 community by subscribing, hitting the bell, and dropping a comment below. Tell us, which principle resonates most? How will you apply it this week? Your story might inspire someone else. Together, let's build lives of meaning and strength. Thank you for being here. Let's keep growing on this journey.